Hello, and welcome to Sleep and Rest Talks. Whether you're ending a long day or simply looking for a moment of calm, I'm glad you're here. Tonight, we're going to explore how to stop overthinking. So, get comfortable and let's begin. If you've chosen this episode tonight, there's a good chance your mind has been working a little harder than you'd like. Maybe you've replayed a conversation from earlier today, wondering whether you said the right thing. Maybe you're thinking about tomorrow, imagining every possible outcome before anything has even happened. Or perhaps your mind has simply decided that bedtime is the perfect moment to remember every unfinished task, every unanswered question, and every uncertainty you've been carrying. If any of that feels familiar, you're certainly not alone. Overthinking is something almost everyone experiences at different times in life. In fact, one of the reasons it can feel so frustrating is because it often begins with a good intention. We think because we want to understand. We analyze because we want to make good decisions. We replay situations because we hope we'll learn something that protects us in the future. Our minds aren't trying to make life harder. Most of the time, they're simply trying to help. The problem is that sometimes our minds forget when enough thinking is enough. Instead of helping us solve a problem, they keep circling around it. The same questions appear again and again, the same possibilities, the same worries. And after a while, thinking no longer feels useful. It just feels exhausting. One of the biggest misunderstandings about overthinking is believing that if we could just think a little longer, we'll eventually reach perfect certainty. That moment where every question has an answer, every risk has disappeared. Every decision feels completely safe. But life doesn't usually work that way. Very few things come with complete certainty. And waiting for certainty before allowing ourselves to feel calm often means waiting forever. Imagine standing at the edge of a lake. The water is slightly moving because of the wind. Now imagine deciding that you'll only step into the boat once the water becomes perfectly still. You might end up standing there for a very long time. Not because the lake is dangerous, but because water naturally moves. The human mind is surprisingly similar. Thoughts naturally move. Questions naturally appear. Uncertainty naturally exists. Peace doesn't come from making every thought disappear. Peace comes from learning that not every thought requires your attention. That may sound simple, but it's one of the most freeing ideas you can carry with you. Because many of us have been taught to treat every thought as if it were an emergency. A doubt appears. We immediately investigate it. A worry appears. We immediately follow it. A memory returns. We begin replaying it from beginning to end. Without realizing it, We've trained ourselves to believe that every thought deserves our full attention. But imagine if every notification on your phone demanded an immediate response. Every message, every email, every advertisement, every reminder. Your day would become impossible. Eventually, you'd learn something important. Not every notification matters equally. Your mind works in much the same way. Throughout every day, it generates thousands of thoughts. Some are helpful, some are creative. Some remind us of important responsibilities. And some are simply mental background noise. The difficulty is that overthinking makes all of them feel equally important. It whispers, "Don't ignore this one. You need to solve this right now. Keep thinking." The answer must be close. Yet surprisingly, the answer often becomes clearer only after we've stopped forcing ourselves to search for it. Have you ever noticed how a solution suddenly appears while taking a shower, walking outside, or doing something completely unrelated? That's because a relaxed mind often sees what a pressured mind cannot. When we constantly force ourselves to think harder, we narrow our attention. But when we gently loosen our grip, our minds become more flexible. This doesn't mean giving up. It means allowing space. Space for clarity. Space for perspective. Space to breathe. Tonight, I'd like to offer you a different relationship with your thoughts. Not one built on fighting them. Not one built on chasing them. But one built on quietly deciding which thoughts deserve your energy and which ones can simply pass by. Because here's something worth remembering. Just because your mind produces a thought doesn't automatically make it true, and it doesn't automatically make it important. Sometimes it's simply a thought, and sometimes that is all it ever needs to be. Let's spend a moment thinking about something that surprises many people. Overthinking is rarely caused by having too many thoughts. It's more often caused by believing that every thought must be solved. There's an important difference. Imagine reading a book. Every page contains hundreds of words, but you don't stop after every sentence to analyze every single word. You naturally allow the story to continue. Your mind understands that not every detail needs your complete attention. Now imagine reading that same book while stopping after every sentence to ask yourself, did I understand that perfectly? Could it mean something else? Should I read it again? Before long, reading would become exhausting. Not because the book changed, but because your relationship with it changed. This is often what happens inside our own minds. A simple thought appears. Perhaps it's something like, what if tomorrow doesn't go well? On its own, that's just a passing thought. But overthinking quickly adds another question. Why did I think that? Then another. Does that mean something is wrong? Then another. What if I'm not prepared? Soon, one small thought has become an entire conversation. Not because reality changed, but because we kept feeding it our attention. Here's something gentle to remember. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever you shine it on tends to grow. If you spend 10 minutes appreciating a beautiful memory, that feeling often grows warmer. If you spend 10 minutes replaying your biggest worry, that feeling usually grows heavier. Your attention is valuable, perhaps more valuable than you realize. And because it's valuable, it's worth choosing carefully where you place it. This doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. Real problems deserve thoughtful attention. But there's a difference between thoughtful attention and endless repetition. Imagine someone asking you the same question 50 times, even if it's an important question. Eventually, repeating it no longer creates a better answer. It only creates more frustration. Our minds can do exactly the same thing. Sometimes they ask, "What if I fail?" Again. "What if I fail?" Again. But what if I really fail? By the 20th repetition, nothing new is being discovered. The mind has simply become stuck in a loop. Recognizing the loop is incredibly important because once you notice it, you have a choice. Instead of asking, "How do I answer this thought?" you can ask something different. Have I already answered this? If the answer is yes, perhaps it's time to stop searching for another answer. Perhaps it's time to trust the answer you already have. Many people who overthink are actually incredibly responsible. They care deeply. They want to make good decisions. They don't want to hurt other people. They don't want to make mistakes. Those qualities are beautiful. The goal isn't to lose them. The goal is to stop carrying them to the point where they become a burden. There's something else I'd like you to consider. Think back to a time when you were deeply worried about something. Maybe it was an important conversation, a difficult decision, or a future event you couldn't stop imagining. Now ask yourself, how many of the things you imagined actually happened exactly as you pictured them? Probably very few. Our minds are excellent storytellers. Sometimes they create stories to inspire us. Sometimes they create stories to protect us. And sometimes they create stories that never become reality. Yet while we're believing those stories, our bodies react as if they're already true. Our breathing changes. Our muscles tighten. Sleep becomes more difficult. Not because something dangerous is happening, but because the mind is rehearsing possibilities. Here's one of the most freeing ideas I ever learned. You don't have to attend every meeting your mind invites you to. Your mind may invite you to replay yesterday. It may invite you to argue with someone who isn't even present. It may invite you to imagine tomorrow 100 different ways. An invitation is not an obligation. You are allowed to quietly decline, not with anger, not by forcing your thoughts away, simply by saying, almost gently, "Not right now." Those 3 words carry more power than we often realize. Not right now. Not because the thought doesn't matter, but because this moment, this quiet moment, belongs to rest. And perhaps tomorrow, with a rested mind, you'll see everything much more clearly. There is another reason we overthink that often goes unnoticed. Many of us believe that if we think long enough, we can protect ourselves from disappointment. It sounds reasonable. If we imagine every possible outcome, if we prepare for every mistake, if we analyze every conversation, then perhaps nothing will catch us by surprise. At first, this feels like control. But after a while, something changes. Instead of controlling our thoughts begin controlling us. And without realizing it, we start carrying tomorrow's problems before tomorrow has even arrived. Imagine walking through life with a backpack. At first, you place only the things you truly need inside. Then, you begin adding things that might become useful. Then, things that probably won't be useful. But what if they are? Soon, the backpack becomes so heavy that every step feels more difficult. The strange part is that much of the weight comes from things you never actually needed to carry. Our minds do something very similar. They collect possibilities. What if this goes wrong? What if I disappoint someone? What if I make the wrong decision? What if people judge me? Each question seems small on its own, but together they become heavy. One of the kindest things you can do for yourself is to ask a very simple question. Is this something I can do something about right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. If the answer is yes, take one small step. Not 10, not the perfect step, just one. Perhaps you need to send an email. Perhaps you need to write something down. Perhaps you simply need to make a decision. Small actions often calm the mind far more than endless thinking. But if the answer is no, if there is nothing you can realistically do tonight, then continuing to think rarely creates peace. It usually creates exhaustion. There is wisdom in knowing when to act, but there is also wisdom in knowing when to stop. This isn't giving up. It's recognizing that some problems cannot be solved at midnight. And they certainly cannot be solved by asking the same question 50 different ways. There's another habit that quietly feeds overthinking: the search for the perfect decision. Many of us believe that somewhere out there is one perfect choice, one perfect conversation, one perfect opportunity. If only we think long enough, we'll finally discover it. But life isn't usually lived through perfect decisions. It's lived through good decisions, made with the information we have at the time. Think about your own life for a moment. Some of your happiest memories probably didn't happen because you had absolute certainty. They happened because at some point you decided to move forward despite uncertainty. That takes courage. And perhaps courage isn't the absence of uncertainty. Perhaps courage is learning to walk alongside it. There is something incredibly peaceful about accepting that you don't need every answer before taking the next step. Because certainty is comforting, but confidence is different. Confidence doesn't say, "I know exactly what will happen." Confidence says, "Whatever happens, I'll deal with it." That is a much lighter way to live. There's one more idea I'd like to leave with you before we continue. When your mind begins racing, notice the tone it uses. Is it kind, or is it demanding? Many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they love. Imagine a close friend came to you and said, "I'm worried I might make a mistake." Would you answer, "You should think about it all night until you're exhausted"? Probably not. You'd likely say, "You've prepared. You've done your best. Get some rest. Tomorrow, you'll think more clearly." It's interesting, isn't it? We often know exactly how to comfort someone else, yet we forget to offer that same kindness to ourselves. Perhaps tonight you can. Perhaps tonight, instead of demanding another hour of thinking, you can quietly remind yourself, "I've done enough for today. Not everything, just enough." And sometimes, enough is exactly what allows tomorrow to become a little easier. As we begin bringing our conversation to a close, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. What if peace doesn't come from having all the answers? What if peace comes from realizing that you don't need all the answers tonight? There will always be things beyond your control. Questions without immediate answers. Conversations you wish had gone differently. Decisions that feel uncertain. That's part of being human. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty from your life. The goal is to stop allowing uncertainty to steal every peaceful moment you have, because your mind deserves moments of rest, not because you've solved everything, but because you've carried enough for one day. If you think about it, your mind has been working since the moment you woke up. It has made decisions, solved problems, remembered responsibilities, handled conversations, planned, adjusted, protected you in countless ways. And now, perhaps it's time to thank it, not by asking it to work even harder, but by allowing it to rest. Sometimes we imagine rest as something we earn only after we've completed everything. But life rarely works that way. There will almost always be another email, another decision, another responsibility waiting for tomorrow. If we wait until everything is finished before allowing ourselves peace, we may never truly rest. Instead, we can quietly say, "Today, I did what I could." Some things remain unfinished, and that's okay. Those simple words aren't about lowering your standards. They're about accepting reality with kindness instead of resistance. There's something surprisingly powerful about ending the day with acceptance rather than judgment. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing. It simply means you stop fighting the fact that you're human. You will make mistakes. You will occasionally misunderstand someone. You will sometimes choose the wrong path. Every person you admire has done exactly the same. Growth has never required perfection. It has only required willingness, willingness to learn, willingness to continue, willingness to begin again. Perhaps that's another reason overthinking becomes so exhausting. It quietly convinces us that every decision defines our entire future. But most decisions don't. Life is far more forgiving than our anxious minds often believe. A single conversation rarely defines who you are. One difficult day doesn't erase years of progress. One mistake doesn't cancel everything you've learned. And one uncertain moment doesn't mean you're lost. Sometimes you're simply living. As we finish tonight, I'd like you to remember 3 simple ideas. The first, not every thought deserves your attention. The second, not every problem needs to be solved tonight. And the third, you are allowed to rest, even while some questions remain unanswered. Those 3 ideas may seem small, but practiced consistently, they can gently change the way you experience your days and your nights. The next time your mind begins inviting you into another long conversation, pause for just a moment. Take one slow breath and ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Or is it simply asking for more of my energy? Sometimes that single question is enough to loosen the grip of overthinking. Not because your thoughts disappear, but because you no longer feel obligated to follow every one of them. And perhaps that's what freedom from overthinking really looks like. Not an empty mind, but a peaceful relationship with your thoughts. A relationship built on wisdom rather than fear. As you continue resting, know this: you don't have to figure out your entire life tonight. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities, a fresh perspective, and a mind that has been given the gift of rest. For now, allow yourself to simply be here. Nothing to solve, nothing to prove, nothing more to carry. Just this quiet moment and the permission to let today come to an end. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you're still listening, I hope these thoughts have brought you a little more calm. Until next time, take good care of yourself and have a peaceful rest.